Hello Ronlings. So this video has been about 6 months in the making, because about van I had to sit kind of this way, the sun's in my face. So it's been 6 months in the making, because about 6 months ago I put this video out showing my new van conversion. Is that too professional to say that? Because it's I'm not a plumber or a electrician, so it's all been done, and I deliberately didn't look for tips on YouTube, stubborn as that may sound. I just wanted to see what I could do with the layman's knowledge I had, and it was literally just an experiment really. So I deliberately didn't try and look for help on YouTube. I did this all off my own back, so with no experience or skills in any area. And I did this video, I was quite proud with it, of what I'd done to the van. And since then I've made many modifications due to wanting it to be more van-like, because I'm a DIYer, and also specifically now we're re-landscaping the garden, and I'm trying to carry aggregates and wood and all sorts of stuff in the van, and because it was more camper than van, it was really difficult to do that. So I had to I wanted it more van-like, so I needed to open up certain areas so I could use it as more of a van. And also secondly to that, I bought a motorbike. We bought a little 125 motorbike that we want to get inside the van, so that when we get where we're going we can use that, because when we were using the van and we were going camping and stuff like that, when we got where we're going, we had to unpack everything and to use it as a camper, and then we had to pack it all away and batten it all down so it didn't rock about. And it was also difficult to camp, to park, sorry, in some places we were going. So it wasn't that big a deal, but it's just more of a convenience. We thought, well, when we get a little motorbike, we get it up inside the van, and when we get where we're going, we'll wheel it out and we can whiz around on a little motorbike. So I needed to make adjustments to allow for that as well. There was other small reasons, but those were the two main ones, and it's been a constant adjustment every so many weeks, with tinkering with this, that and the other. So every time I wanted to go and do a film to show you what I'd done, I was thinking of something else that I wanted to do, and then when I did those two, I was thinking of something else, and so on and so forth, and it ended up building up. And I'm now at a place where I'm not thinking I need to do something else. I think I'm done. So I thought, how about another update on what's happening so far, what it looks like so far. So I'll start with the fridge for no particular reason. Well, I guess there is a reason, because I'm just about to step in the van and the first thing I see is the fridge. So apologies for having to try and be in front of the camera. I've got no microphone at the moment. When you stand behind it, the sound goes really quiet, and I'm probably going to have to do that sometimes, but I'll try to stay in front of the mic as much as possible. So this is the new fridge. So my original fridge was, you can't see me, my original fridge was massive. I bought it because I didn't know what size I'd need really, so I bought a massive fridge freezer. It had 2 compartments, and I just thought it was such a novelty having a freezer in one and a fridge in the other. And it was really big. And then over the sort of 6 months I've been using the van, I was never using the freezer, so it was pretty much switched off the whole time. When I was using it, I was driving walking around the supermarket looking for something to put in it, so I was using it for the sake of it, which is a bit pointless. And then the compartments were really massive, so the one I was using for the fridge, I turned one side off, was too big. It was just overkill. And I thought, well, this is a waste of power, trying to power such a big thing. So I got rid of that, and I bought this. So this is my new fridge. I stuck with Alpi-Cool. The last one was Alpi-Cool because I thought it was really Alpi-Cool. The other fridge was, well, you know, the only other problem with the other fridge is it was just too big. It was actually a really good fridge. You can use an app to control the whole thing, switch on and off and control the temperatures just like the other fridge, so you don't even have to touch the fridge. I bought this one. This is a 12 litre because I wanted it as small as possible. You see how tiny it is. But there was a 10 litre as well, and the only difference was the footprint was the same. The only difference was the lid was flat, so it was down here. So the extra 2 litres they give you is by having a deep recess, so you can sort of stand things up Well, all I've got is a sad little bottle of milk at the moment. So that, as small as it looks, is still more than I need when I go camping. Because I go for like a night, or maybe 2 nights, maybe 3 at a time. I just don't need a big fridge. It's just not necessary. So that's the first thing I did, and I bought that, and it saves a lot of power as well, being so small, and it's very efficient. It's really efficient, and it does exactly what it says. Dare I say the catchphrase on the tin, because the other one, I don't think it was particularly accurate. I think because of the size, the sheer size of it. But this one, you know, you set it for the temperature you want, and it is that temperature. Also, it can be a freezer if you still need it. It has the ability to go down to minus something, minus 17 or something, I can't remember. So you can still use it as a fridge if you need a fridge. So that's my first adjustment. And it used to go down here at this end in front of the toilet, but I found it's much better with the new configuration. I found it's much better to keep it up this end on here. And when we turn it into a double bed, sorry, because this pulls out, then I just move this over here. There's a table that flips up that goes under the table, so it's still not in the way. It doesn't mean moving it, but I think that's preferable, because when it was up that end, the cable doesn't quite reach I've got a new inverter which I'll show you later. The cable didn't quite reach the inverter, but I've got a huge amount of space at this end now, so I prefer it being where it is now. So that's the fridge. Okay, so next, I've taken this off the tripod so it isn't too wobbly. Next I'm going to show you this. So originally this cupboard and these burners were right over here, halfway over the door, so that obviously made it difficult to get in. Well, not difficult, but it made it tighter to get in and out. It made it tighter to bring stuff in, like my aggregates and wood and stuff I'm using for the garden. It made it difficult. I had to sort of this was sort of here, and you had to sort of lift things over the top to get things in and squeeze things around the side. And if I needed to come in this way, I had to sort of do a sort of a right turn, and it was really tight and it was causing all sorts of problems. So what I did was I moved all this unit, I moved it all up, so it was here, and I moved it all along so it's tucked behind the door. That did mean that obviously that bit was sticking out the back, so I had to cut that off. That was just worktop. That was just worktop that I cut off. So there was nothing major under there, no cupboards or anything I lost. It was just worktop, which I cut off. And then, as you can see, it's much shorter now. But I've put this foldable. Excuse me. This folds up, so it's out of the way. It can fold completely flat. I've got stuff on there at the moment, so if you really don't want it, it can fold flat and just be a smaller worktop. But that folds out and gives me some worktop back. There's more worktop over there. I'll show you that in more detail later. That lifts up, so I've kind of gained the worktop back by adding some fold out stuff, because that's all I lost in the first place. So obviously all this moved along. This was here, and now this has moved to the back, and now that is that used to have the battery in it. I didn't like the fact the battery was where it was now. I never really was happy with that in the first place, where the battery was, because it was really heavy and it was pulling the cupboards around, no matter how much I tried to secure it. So that is now storage. I bought this little container to put stuff in. There's a little space down the side to put all bits and bobs in. So that's kind of storage. So in a sense, you know, I didn't lose the worktop, because I put some more on there, and I've gained a storage cupboard. And I'll show you what I did with the battery later. Now, really difficult trying to deliberate what to do with the battery. So that's the next thing I did. I moved it along. It does mean that my tap, this tap was sort of here-ish, and I had to move. I just plopped it on the end. You see it sticks out. I just plopped it on the end just for somewhere to put it while I was figuring out what to do. But actually I really like it there. I moved this along as well. This is my waste thing. And I always was thinking, oh, to make it a proper camper, you've got to have a bowl set into the floor and then a proper thing. And actually, I prefer, this is my wash up bowl. I prefer that because I prefer filling up the bowl and just taking the bowl, it's got washing in it now, and washing up wherever I want to do it. I can do it outside, I can do it here, I can do it on my lap. So I've left that deliberately loose because I prefer that. And then I tip the waste into there, which goes down into this waste container down here. So I can still throw the waste into a container and take it home. I prefer that. It doesn't look pretty, but I prefer the convenience of that. That's how I'm leaving it, because I actually really like that. And this tap is no plumbing required. It goes down, there's a pipe at the bottom. I put it into this container here. It's one that I bought from Amazon, and you just stick it on top of a water bottle. That's what it's for. And it's an electric pump. You press it and it dispenses water. And I just thought, well, that'll do for a tap. It's electric, it's running water, that'll do. So I'm quite happy with that, and I'm leaving that as it is. As I say, it's not ergonomic. I've gone for ergonomics over aesthetics, because I don't care what it's like. It's practical and it works. I had to then also, I had it a lot further forward because I moved it back this way. It was in front of the wheel arch, so it was much further forward, which I was quite happy with. I didn't care about that. But then when I wanted to decide to bring the bike in here, as I said earlier, I needed to move it right up against the wall, so I had to cut the back of the cupboard out to fit over the wheel arch. And also it meant I lost a shelf as well, so I've lost a bit of depth and I've lost the shelf. And I pulled everything out, and I thought I'll put it back in order of importance. But the things I really need in there, the things I quite like in there, and I'm bound to get to the bits that don't really care too much about, and I'll find another home for them. But blow me down, it all fitted back in there. Don't figure, it's not as deep. I've lost the shelf, and yet it all fitted in there. I must just throw it all in the first time and not really cared. But because it's sat back up against the wall now, this didn't fit on there, so I just put a couple of extra flaps to sit the legs on. That suits me fine. I can still get the cupboard doors open, and they fold as well. They're on a hinge. Just about to the end of there. It's on a hinge, so if I can take that off, store it somewhere, and fold these over. So they're not sticking out, and that's another worktop. So originally this worktop here, so you look at the area I've created. That's what this is all about. This big space here now, if you take the fridge out and put it up where it used to be, if I need the area, I now have this huge sort of square, ignore that, of storage now. So if I want it to be a van, I can open that side door, and there's a huge area here now to put things on, and then I can do a really easy right turn to sort of come up this center aisle to put things down the center aisle. So that's created a much more van-like area. That's the whole point of moving everything along. And also this table is just and up she goes. So that's another bit of space there if I need the space when it's a camper and not a van. But then I can put that down to get that space over there back to make it more sort of van-like. So that's an extra bit, a tabletop, and it does encroach over the thing, but over the doorway. But I can put it down so that it doesn't do that, and put it up when it's a camper and keep it like that. So this is another useful bit of storage. And then the fridge goes underneath it at night if I need to put it. If I'm on my own, obviously I don't need to pull the bed out and it can stay there. But if I'm with my partner, I can put that fridge, take that fridge and put it underneath the table, and then you can still pull the bed out because it's just sliding along there. It's really small. So that's another worktop. It did have a leg on it actually. I put a leg on. I just used to jam a leg under there, and if you kicked it, it used to come away, and it was kind of awkward. And my partner bought these special hinges that go up on their own, and it's amazing. So that's the cupboard adjustment. So I really had a big problem with what to do with the battery, because as I said earlier, I took it out where I was storing it, and I needed to keep it. It's a big battery and it's a heavy battery, and I needed to keep it away from off the floor, say, because I was trying to, as I said earlier, make a big area here. The fridge is in the way, but I can move that, but I think the battery's really heavy, you can't keep moving that around, and it's obviously got wires attached to it to the converter, the inverter, sorry, and so you couldn't do that, and I really had trouble working out what to do with it. So in the end, what I did was I stuck it in this under storage locker. There's the battery in there. It does mean, obviously that does mean that that's caused an awkward problem, because now the inverter, the old inverter I had, I wanted that outside. It had a bank of sockets on it, and I wanted to needed that outside, so it means trailing a cable around from underneath the locker to outside somewhere. So that was really difficult, of deciding how to deal with that. So what I did in the end was I bought a new inverter, this one here. This one has 2 sockets on here, and it has a remote control that runs up, well, I ran it up to this here. I won't switch it on because the battery is nearly flat, so it is like no point. But that has 2 USBs on the outside, and it has an indicator showing you or the battery level and the voltage that's using, and it has a little overload gauge to tell you if you're putting too much power into it and so on. So it's really good that all the control, you can turn it on and off, and all the controls on the outside, so it doesn't matter that the inverter is inside, because that was the problem I had with the old inverter. The old inverter had to be outside, somewhere in the van outside, and I just didn't know where to put it and where to trail cables. So this one allows me to put it right inside and right next to the battery. So I've lost a bit of storage, but I can still store stuff in the lockers underneath. I haven't lost too much cupboard space, but it allows it to keep it all nice and neat in there. It does mean the sockets inside, but the old inverter I had, I never used the sockets. I keep the fridge plugged into it. It's not at the moment because, as I say, it's all switched off, but I keep the fridge plugged into it all the time. That leaves a spare socket, and in the old camper I never used any other like 240 volt, I think they are, household sockets. So and I've got one spare, and yet I never used them before. So all I ever used was USBs, and this has the USBs on the outside. So in the old inverter it had loads of USBs, and I only ever used two at once. So to try and keep the cost down, I was trying to get the minimum amount of sockets. You start going more sockets than that, the price starts to go up. But I only ever used 2. I had this time I had the luck of, not luck, the experience of knowing how I use the inverter and how I use power, and we never had more than 2 USBs going at the same time. So I thought, well, I can get just 2 USBs then, and that's what I did. So those are on the outside because we use them all the time, so you need that. And the 240 volts are in the locker underneath, so slight inconvenience if you want to plug something in there, but I use it once in a blue moon. As I say, the fridge is permanently plugged in, and that goes through a little hole I've made in the side, so it doesn't interfere with anything. Anything else I want to plug in, I'll just open the cupboard and put it in. But that could be considered an inconvenience, but I never use them, so it's once in a blue moon type thing. And the old inverter had all the sockets on the inverter, so it had to be outside. So this allows me to keep it inside, have a neat little control panel on the wall, and control everything from the outside, even turn it on and off. And so that was from Amazon, and I think it was 160 something, so it wasn't a bad price. Had good reviews, so I think it's going to work well. And the battery gauge on my old inverter was really inaccurate. It didn't seem to know battery level my battery was on, but this one seems to be working. As I said, I ran it down to flat just to see if it is actually doing a good job, and this one actually works. So so that's the power sorted, and that kept it all, neatened everything out and kept it all neatly under a locker, and that's again created more space and less wiring to trail everywhere. And so that's a cheaty non-electrician way of getting yourself power in the van. The only inconvenience it causes now is that I have to trail a cable under the locker to charge it up, because I haven't got a solar panel. So that's probably because I used to take the battery out. I used to take it out and take it in the house. I had a little trolley, I used to wheel it into the house. I can't do that now because you have to take the door off to get the battery out, and you see the inverters in front of it as well. So that's not too biggie. I just put it onto the driveway and poke the charger through the door of the van, but it's probably the only inconvenience it's caused, if it is one. So that's it really. There's a few more things I want to do. I want to insulate the roof still, and we have discussed. I painted it, but I'm not really happy. Well, my partner painted it, but I'm not really happy with the colour or the coldness of it. So we're going to actually try and wallpaper the whole thing. So yeah, insulation, and I want to wallpaper. That's all I can think of I want to do now. So I'm basically done. I think that's as far as I'm going to get with it, as far as I need to get with it. I don't need to make any more adjustments for the time being. So so that's it, and it's finished, and it really has opened out the van. It's funny because I've shortened cupboards, but I've actually still gained more worktops, and I've gained a more storage underneath, and by hiding my battery I've created more space. It's thinking smarter has given me, although I've got less, I've actually gained more by thinking smarter and having the knowledge of how I use the camper and what I do and don't need. And by doing that, is actually I've opened it out into a much bigger space. Consider it's only a short wheelbase low roof van. I've actually given myself more space by thinking a bit more smarter, and so it's actually more comfortable as a camper, and now it works better as a van as well, and it's can transport a motorcycle inside it. So it's got many hats now, and it still hasn't ruined it as a camper. It's actually better and more spacious and feels better as a camper. So it hasn't actually even sort of, no area has actually suffered by doing this. So I'm quite pleased with what I've done, and nothing suffered in the process. So I'm quite pleased with the way it's all worked out. So yeah, a couple more bits to do. I probably won't do videos for them because it's quite simple stuff. But so basically, other than that, I'm completely done, and that's my new setup, and I'm happy. So thanks for watching. I hope you might have found something interesting. What it has showed is that somebody with no knowledge about anything can still make a camper, because at the end of the day, it's kind of basic what you need as a camper to get by, and still be comfortable and still have everything you need. So it's not that difficult. The aesthetics may suffer perhaps, but I don't care about that. I just want to be comfortable, warm, and have everything I need. Anyway, thanks for watching. I'll see you. Hopefully you'll join me in some more camper ones and tent ones, which is what I do on my channel as well. So hope to see you soon.